Hey, good morning. Let's go over today's trade plan. So in the overnight session, we saw a move up towards 1922 and the market balanced in a range, and then we eventually got a overnight balance breakdown for a move down to the 95 to 97 area. At this point, heading into the open, the 95 to 97 is acting as pre-market support, and this is going to be a short-term area that can also serve as a micro bull bear zone. So if the market's holding above it, it tells us that we are still in more of a balanced state. And if we break below it and we're seeing excess weakness and strong downside momentum, then we may not stop at the 88.5 to 90.5. So in that case, the initial support zone is going to call for caution. On the larger time frame, we are trading in a large balance, and right now the market is kind of trying to figure out which way it wants to resolve on the larger time frame. So on the downside below 88.50 to 90.50, the next important area of support is 74 to 77. If we are exhausted into it, decent odds of getting at least a tradable reaction there, or for the market to pause again, unless we are, in a trend down type day or a strong liquidation day. We'll likely still get a short-term bounce off 74 to 77. Below that, we have support 70 to 71 half, and then the 64 half to 66 half continues to be the lower edge of the recent short-term balance area. And again, if we're exhausted into it, that's still an area that can provide a reaction. But at this point, if we continue to hammer away at those lower zones, eventually they're bound to break. So, right now it is an important time in the market where the larger time frame is getting resolved. And for that reason, if we are seeing excess weakness on the day time frame and we're seeing a lot of downside momentum, then we will have to be careful on fading even those lower support areas. Now, like I said, if we're short-term exhausted into that zone and the market's going in a straight line move, then most likely you will still get some level of response, but the more times you test any given support area, the less likely it is to hold. And we've been testing this lower edge of balance several times. We've already tested it over the last several days. So at this point, we do have to be a little bit more careful if the market approaches those areas yet again. On the upside, the main resistance is 1906 to 1909, and if we can break out above that and then take out yesterday's high at 12 quarter, then it would just confirm that the buyers are stepping back in. But until then, our overnight bias is going to be neutral to bearish below 06 to 09, and the short-term bias is neutral, with the understanding that if we are seeing a lot of weakness on the day time frame, then that would simply be followed through from the overnight session, and that's why we'll have to be more cautious and careful on the long side today. Yesterday the market was selling off from a swing high of 1940 all the way down into the short-term balance area low at 64 half, 66 half, and that made for a really nice trade. But now if we continue to test that area, we just have to be careful with it because it may not provide the same level of response. Below 64.50, we are going to start to exhaust the range. So 55 half to 57 is not really a major area of support, but the range could be exhausted by then. And 51 to 53 would be the next significant area of support behind 64 half to 66 half. On the upside, the upper resistance zones are going to continue to be in play, and given that we are in a very neutral and balanced market, we can still get a response on first test of every resistance zone on the way back up. And right now, heading into the open, the short-term bias is neutral to bearish. So off the open, we'll just have to see whether there is enough momentum and broad market weakness to justify a continuation move below 88.50, 90.50. But if you're holding below 95 to 97, short term, that can be used as a micro bull bear idea, and holding below that does indicate sell side in control, and sellers have been in control and dominant in the overnight session. So those are the main ideas heading into the open. We're going to be a little more careful today on the long side, but because we are in a large balance, we do have to determine that in real time. So let's see if the sell side can maintain control here from the overnight session, and we'll take it from there.